which you're probably very familiar with, but has a horrendous actual code behind it. So we're going to go to View, Developer, and View Source. Now take a look at that. That's the code behind the google.com homepage. It's pretty horrendous, not very nice to look at, definitely not a good starting point for learning about HTML. So let's close that and let's go to a much simpler website. We'll go to example.com. There it is, a much nicer, simple website. Now if we have a look and go to View, Developer, View Source, aha, much nicer. We can make sense of this. So we're just going to spend a couple of minutes looking through this document and see what it tells us about the general structure of a web page. So first of all, we've got a doc type. At the very beginning of any HTML file, it's a good convention to tell the browser, that is Google Chrome or Firefox, what sort of document we're looking at here. And this is just a straightforward HTML page, so it's just a doc type of HTML. There are various other doc types. I'm going to give a link in the docs for this course if you want to explore those a little bit more, but for now we'll just move on. Every page that we create is going to have a doc type of HTML. Again, we have a definition here. Now this is what's called a tag. So anything in those square brackets there is a tag, and this is an HTML tag, which once again just tells the browser that the HTML of this document starts here. You'll notice that at the very end of the document, there's a very similar tag with square brackets and HTML, but a slash in it. Now that slash generally means a close tag. So what we're doing here is we're starting off with an open HTML tag and then we're finishing with a close HTML tag. So within those two tags is all of the HTML of this page. And that's a general principle as well, that every tag that you open like that, you need to close like that. Okay, moving on. Generally, the first section of a HTML page is the head. And that's where we store various bits of information about the page, and also in some cases link to other files that we need to download to get some information and some styles or JavaScript, which we'll be looking at later on, to make the page display correctly and do things. So again, if we scroll down a little bit, we can see that there's a close head tag there as well. So the head is everything between those two tags. So just to run through what we've got within the head, we've got a title. Now the title is actually what appears in the tab of your browser here. So you can see title, example domain, and slash title. So that is the opening tag for the title. This is the closing tag, and the title appears in between the two. Okay, now this next one here is a meta tag. So a meta tag is a bit of information about that web page. This one is a character set meta tag, and it's a character set of a very common character set of UTF-8. Now that really doesn't need to worry you too much about different character sets. Again, I'll give a link in the docs. You can have a look and read a bit more about that if you want to. But for now, it's important to set a character set, but it doesn't really matter which one you use for now, and UTF-8 will do fine for the moment. So we'll just keep that in all of the documents that we create. Okay, the second bit of metadata is a content type. So once again, this just tells the browser that this is an HTML bit of content, and it also sets the character set again as UTF-8. The next meta tag is the viewport. Now this is something that becomes quite important when you're developing for mobile devices. You might want to switch off zooming, for example, is something that's quite commonly done, and you would do that in the viewport tag. All this does here is set the width of the page to be equal to the device width, so that's just the width of the window, and it just sets the initial scale to be 1. So essentially the default viewport. Once again, if you're more interested in a viewport, I'll give you a link to read more about that in the docs. Now, chapter 2, you've probably noticed, is all about styles and CSS, so we're not going to go into this in great detail, what this actually means, but this is a style tag, and again we've got a closed style tag down there, and in the middle we've got all of these styles which basically just dictate the nice rounded borders there, what the font is, what the titles look like, etc, etc. But we'll go into detail about that in chapter 2. Okay. And that covers the head. We're now at the end of the head and we're into the body. That's the main structure of the page and the content itself. So the body tag here again links with a closed body tag down there. And we've got a div tag. A div is just a division of a web page. So you normally divide your page into several different divs, each of which might be a chunk of content. Here we've only got one div, it's a very simple page. Now within this we've got our header. We'll talk about h1 tags in the next video, but this just defines our header example domain again. So the h1 tag is what makes it appear like that, nice and big and bold. And again we've got a close h1 tag there. P is short for paragraph, so this is general text content of a page. And there's you go, there's your text content for that. And then once again we've got a close P tag to end that paragraph. Now we're nearly at the end now. We've got another P there to define a second paragraph, and this A tells us that this is a link, and it's a link that goes to this address, and the text for that link is more information. If we go back and have a look over here, there's our link, and if I mouse over that you can see that it becomes a link and I can click on it if I want to. And then once again we've got to close the link tag and close the paragraph tag, and that's the end of our HTML. So just to recap, we've defined a doc type of HTML, we've got our HTML tag there, we've then got our header or our head which contains the title and various other bits of information about the page. And then we've got our body, which contains the actual content of the page with various display tags such as header tags and paragraph tags and a link tag there. And that will give you a good overview of how an HTML page should be structured.